You know, we have a lot of pieces coming together for our food plot program out here, and I don't think a lot of people realize how much work it takes, but we do it at a really high level. It's something I've been involved with professionally for 30 years. Articles back a long time ago in the late 90s, early 2000s, QDMA, Michigan Out of Doors. I think over 200 articles written on food plots. Regardless.
You're old.
Yeah, thank you. But, it's something we love to do, but it takes a lot of work. A lot of times people look at, man, if I had that private land, I could shoot those bucks too. Look at it this way. If you spend 10 days scouting on public land, for example, actually 10 days, that's a lot, scouting on public land and then you hunt. That'd be a lot of preparation for public land. We spend about 100 on our land here, about 100 days. So 10 times the amount of someone that would be in the 5% club for public land scouting. Just for perspective, a lot of work. And part of that's we want to have good food plots. We want to actually do this right. We want to have good land, cuttings and everything. And so I want to take you on a little bit of a tour today. Our food plots are right in transition time where we've planted some for fall. We still have others to plant for fall. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like, and we're going to talk about some pretty cool things that we've changed, including some herbicide treatment and just what it looks like now. We're 5 days after planting, and I think you guys will be amazed what it looks like. So let's look at this, what we're doing here in 2025, and how all these pieces are coming together. And I can't wait to take you on the process, and we'll see what other one-liners Jen has to add to the discussion.
I'm going to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, she'll try. Now, this is the start of it. I want to talk about something really quick. We've been starting to use Liberty herbicide. And Liberty herbicide is as strong as 2,4-D, but it doesn't have residual like 2,4-D. It's a post-emergent only. So we're 2,4-D, you can put it on the ground and it'll still kill things a week later, coming up, especially broadleafs. So that's one reason we don't like using it. Liberty is a little bit weaker on grasses. So this year we added 1 quart per acre of glyphosate to 2.5 quarts of Liberty. We added 2 pounds of ammonium sulfate per acre. And I wanted to show you guys what this looks like. So check this out right over here. This, you see the difference. This is 5 days after spraying and putting our rut zone in, which is half of this that we're doing down here. Look at the difference between that buckwheat back there. And this is 5 days. You know, the cool thing is this is what it looked like after 2 days. So the buckwheat, we could have planted it earlier in the rut zone area. We planted it around May 25th. We could have planted that probably the 10th of May, 5th of May, because we'd rather target a taller amount of growth, 3.5 feet, 4 feet, 40 inches, whatever it might be. We had about 15 to 18 inches because we planted it all at the same time. You can see that buckwheat back there, how tall it is. I would say it's about thigh high right now, mid thigh high. But literally in 2 days, it looked like this. It's just crazy. And that's the difference between using the Liberty. Glyphosate takes about 10 days. Even a grass-specific herbicide like clethodim takes about 3 weeks. 2,4-D is about a week to 10 days where it really starts turning brown and crispy. This is immediate. And so that was part of it. That was a little bit different this year where we use that Liberty because then we can plant the same day if we want. And what we're finding is that buckwheat back there, we will smash that down in about 2 weeks. It'd be around the 20th of July. We will roll it with the Packer Max, spray it at the same time with the Liberty and the glyphosate combo. And what's really nice about that is we will kill any weed that's in there. And we're seeing right now, I mean, we're getting every weed dead in this spraying, and you can't have a good food plot if you have weeds in it. Don't let anyone tell you different. So that we will take care of in about 2 weeks, right around there. And then it gives us a great window because the Liberty shrinks that, shrivels it, turns it to dust so fast. Instead of waiting a week to 10 days for that to break down, get the seed on the soil, which we're doing now because our blends are tailored so that you don't need tillage. It'll germinate really quickly. With that we're planting over there in the fall. We'll talk about that in a second. But we can plant 2 days after. We can plant 10 days after. So it gives us a really good planting window to watch the rain and get the seed on the ground right before rain, which is always best. So if you can see some of the rows in here, it is crazy the growth. You can see some of this growth right here. We have buckwheat, beans, and tillage radish all coming up in these rows, and the peas will be in a little bit. Peas take a little bit longer, but you can see all those rows. In fact, I'm looking right down here, and there's a bean, tillage radish, and buckwheat all right here together. So we have rows. That's our rut zone. Instead of corn, that's what we're using this year, and we planted early enough, meaning July 1st or 2nd, that we'll have an actual pod with an actual bean that'll come in. And these beans will probably stay green in all the way through the end of October, which will be a really good attraction for around here. And because of the buckwheat, the deer don't like the buckwheat around here. We have enough ag, we have enough food plot space that it's a lower value. So we expect the buckwheat to act as a nurse crop and the beans to get fully established. We'll have some giant tillage radish in here, and then we have the peas to vine up it all and act as more volume. You can get away with fewer peas doing that because they'll vine up, get exposed to the sun, and we'll have some giant pea plants in there. So this is the first half of our planting. We usually target around August 1st, but we want those beans to take place. And this is well after fawning time. So these does and fawns that'll be here in large number more September and October are established somewhere else right now in their traditional fawning grounds. We don't want those fawning grounds to be here, and that buckwheat down there is not enough to keep them here. We have alfalfa all around, which offers little to no value in October, November, December, and that's when they start to come over here. So, and really get on the property at that time. So that's part of it. That's our first half. And you know, before it was the corn being the first half. You see all these rows. You know the cool thing about this food plot? We call it Jim's plot because Jim the Hermit lived right over there. Jim the Hermit lives in a government subsidized housing now, and he's doing great. Actually lives indoors for the first time in 20 years, which is crazy. Gets a Social Security check, so you know, hopefully he's living high on the hog and enjoying life a lot more and more comfortable now. This has never been tilled. This has never been disc, never been plowed, and it never will. You can see right over here, this is what this used to look like. Mixture of goldenrod and a lot of gray dogwood, small cherry trees, random cedar. We cut it all out, brush hogged it all down, and turned it into this. So in fact, we planted corn that first year on here because we could drill it in over all the stumps and debris, and it's been a great field. Look at the buckwheat here. This is the buckwheat that I did not, you know, terminate and plant the rut zone into. Like I said, I said thigh high, it's probably more like waist high. It's probably grown a foot in the last 5 days because of our moisture and heat. This buckwheat will get up to about chest level in the next 2 weeks. That's awesome because this buckwheat is putting a ton of nutrients back in the ground. So we have the rut zone on one half. Cool thing about the rut zone with beans, peas, tillage radish, and buckwheat is we can plant that in the same spot every year. It's just improving the soil. This buckwheat down on this half will be converted to 50% of this will be our brassica blend and 50% will be our greens, our fall power greens. And then we just mix those, just flip them every year. So we can keep this the same. We can move it down here if we want, but everything we're doing is improving the soil, and then it'll all be rye in the spring. If there's a crop failure due to some reason, then we'll throw 150, 200 pounds of rye on it mid to late September, more later in September. The fall power greens, we always add and layer rye on mid-September, 150 pounds per acre. And then the brassica, we're usually not putting rye on until March. And then we let that, it's almost like a frost heating rye. And then that rye comes in, it gives better germination, and it holds the ground. A lot of different good properties, but we're gonna take this, we'll smash it all down with Packer Max, we'll spray, and any bad weeds in here. Like I see some alfalfa coming in down here, and this was from probably a long time ago pasture-wise, and this alfalfa, we don't need to be here. I don't want it here, we want to kill it. It doesn't offer anything in the fall, we don't want it. We'll smash this down, and then it doesn't matter if we wait 2 days, 5 days, or 10, we're gonna wait until we see rain coming, and this will break down so fast that we can throw the seed on the soil. It'll germinate well right before that rain, get it on there, and then we'll have that crop. So we'll have 50% in the rut zone. which is meant to really look at that. That's why we call it rut zone, middle of the season, heart of the season. And then we'll have the fall power greens, which is more early to mid season. And then we'll have the brassica right here, which is mid to late season. Now I'll show you some of the properties of this buckwheat. Like here's a healthy looking plant right here. And again, there's 2 feet from growing still. That's all fine organic matter. And here, that root system, you can see how it's breaking apart the soil. The soil crumbles in that root ball. And that's just a bunch of goodness and fine organic matter that breaks down quickly and is available for the crop afterwards. I'm going to show you this stalk of this buckwheat. I'm going to take this, and there's so much moisture in it that you can actually see it smeared all over my fingers. You see the dampness, and that doesn't matter if it's drought or not, it's always there. So pretty cool stuff. Sometimes you can even squeeze a drip out of it because there's so much moisture in there. And so what that does is help insulate ground, act as a greenhouse effect, hold soil moisture, doesn't let it dry out, bake in the heat and the sun. Make sure that you don't have soil erosion, and puts a lot back into the soil. And then all these branches and leaves literally turn to dust within just a few days after spraying that Liberty and Gly combination. The glyphosate helps it be more of a grass herbicide to add to it. So we're well on our way to having great crops this fall. And really, we do this, we want to tailor our food plots. There's alfalfa everywhere. There's beans in some portion of this region in the neighborhood. But bottom line is, we want to offer the deer something that helps them when they need it the most, which is October, November, December, an ever increasing amount that they need the food, because during the summer they don't want for anything around here. And that's why we don't plant alfalfa. That's a really bad crop to plant for hunting season. And they already have it during the summertime. Great for arid areas out west, Montana, for example. But I think out of over 1,400 clients, I've recommended it less than 10 times in 21 years. So that's something you really need. If we thought it was, we'd sell it and make money on it and recommend it all the time. But because I don't recommend it, I don't want to just be a shill for alfalfa and sell it just to sell it to make some money. If we don't believe in it, we're not gonna plant it. So we'll have this great combination. Now, if we want to take this whole half and this half and flip it every year, we can. I prefer to get this rut zone away from the woods because it's pretty high attraction. I don't want the deer to eat and be attracted here on the beans too early. This right here, they're not really hitting the buckwheat. There's none of this that's browse down here at all. They have way better offerings. Now, if you're in the woods somewhere, you don't have ag, you have small food plots. It'd be one thing if you had, like I had 8.5 acres of food plots in the UP in Michigan. They didn't really touch my buckwheat, less than 5% grazing pressure. But if I had 1 acre and that was all that's there, then they're gonna hit it pretty hard. So in our case, they don't. We have about, was it 14 acres, Jen, that we planted of buckwheat?
It was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Well, we planted, meaning you planted it.
Yeah, we don't let you do the hard jobs.
Yeah, no, I just had to spray. So anyways, we planted this buckwheat, and then you can see how we're utilizing it to flip back and forth. But I think what we'll do is we'll probably focus this rut zone in one half. We'll ever improve this rut zone. Like, for example, I want to make sure we have enough beans. And I'm seeing a bean every 4 to 6 inches. And there's more coming. I see little tops coming. They're a little bit after the buckwheat. But man, it's been 5 days. So pretty crazy. I mean, what do you think of this, Jen? This is the first time you stepped foot out in the food plots.
It looks really good. I'm really impressed. But again, when we planted this, we planted it with rain in mind.
Yes,
You know, so
and there was already dampness in the soil.
Yeah, so
well, it's a little bit different with the rut zone. We can't broadcast it. Now, if we had tall buckwheat, chest high, then we probably could have broadcast the buckwheat into it, smashed and rolled down the buckwheat, or the rut zone into the buckwheat, smashed it down with the cultipacker, sprayed, and we probably would have gotten decent germination because we'd had all that thatch laying on top
probably
of the
would
seed.
have wanted to overseed in that case.
Yeah, a little bit, by about 25 to 30%. But using a drill, having Brandon come out, he just mixed it all together, the tillage radish and the rut zone, everything together, and planted it with a Great Plains drill. Genesis type drill would be awesome for planting too. but it gets that seed down. He stuck it down about an inch, so about an inch on average, and then it's growing from there. So all in all, I hope that rotation, everything makes sense, but really we're targeting mid-November for all of our plantings. We want the deer to start hitting it late August, September, really heating up in November, be the only thing offering in the area. And with surrounded by alfalfa, what's really nice is the further it gets into October and that first frost November, the deer leave the alfalfa fields. And Jen, you did a flyover analysis of all the food in the area, including all of our food plots, clover, fall power, corn, and brassica, and there was no feeding in the alfalfa. It was all on our food plots, which says something right there. That was mid-February after a big storm. So in fact, the brassica was around 54 to 56 feeding circles per acre. Clover was about 46, and then corn and fall power was about 19 and 17 feeding circles per acre, and then 0 in the alfalfa. Because if they have other food, now if we didn't have all that food, they would have eaten the alfalfa because that's all they have. So around here, when we have neighbors that don't want to plant anything because they have great food like corn and alfalfa, they're really shooting themselves in the foot, and it's easy for us to stockpile all the deer in the area, especially the mature bucks, because they go for the best food.
Good for us.
Yeah,
Bad
good
for
for
them.
us, bad for them. So anyways, it's a glimpse into what we're doing out here, and I'm just shocked at how fast the Liberty and glyphosate literally took out everything. And you can see this buckwheat right here. This is the old buckwheat. Look at this. That's what those leaves. That's our combo for 2025. We'll probably change the seeding rates, I suspect, in the rut zone a little bit for next year. We always change the seeding rates in the fall power. The brassica, we touch that up a little bit every year. We play around with the seed blends to always try to bring you perfection. We're always trying to chase perfection. And I've been chasing perfection for 30 years with food plots. So you can imagine it gets better every year, but we still have a lot to learn. And everything we do learn, we bring it to you. And we plant what we teach. I have to point out that if you're in a northern setting, some of our big wood setting clients in Kentucky, Pennsylvania, then it's quite possible I'd recommend a different planting for you. Let alone plantings that you have new food plots, you have new rotations, you're bulldozing plots, then we're going to recommend something else. So just because we're planting this here, this might be a fit for 50% of you out there, but there's a lot of other planting that we talk about. This is just what we're doing, and part of that 100 hours of work that we do every year, including water holes, bedding areas, mock scrapes, trail cam maintenance, trails. It's a lot of work.
How about everything else?
How about everything else? Yeah, that would be it. Including, this is one of our new camera locations. Jen, you haven't even seen this one yet other than the pictures. We got it right here. You know, part of these cameras this time of year, we want to watch the corner. Deer are going out to the ag fields at dark, and that's consistent for the entire hunting season. But a really cool spot, and we can watch our rut zone grow, which is another good thing. So they always scrape right here. Now you see this scrape right here. This is a big war patch. So I didn't want to put the camera on it, 4 feet away from the scrape, but every buck that comes through here will get their picture taken right here where Jen and I are standing. So anyways, this is one of our many plots out here, but again, a lot of work goes into it. Hope you can appreciate that. And we'll be hunting public land too again, by the way. I hunt public land almost every year and have since the 80s. And we'll be heading out to Pennsylvania and staying at deer camp. Back to my old camp, but we do that to relax. A lot less work involved, and but we enjoy it just the same, just differently. So anyways, that's our 2025 mix, or our high level look at what we're doing, and I hope it makes some sense to you, can help you out with your own food plot program this season.